Hello and welcome to Sydenham Garden Nature Reserve. Being creative and being out in nature can have real positive effects for your mental health. And in this video, we will take a tour of Sydenham Garden and hear from people about how being in the garden has helped them. Art therapist Joanna Vallis will be showing us how to make pressed flowers at home. We will find out about the work being done at the Freen Market Garden, and we will join an African Caribbean group practicing a mindful meditation.
I feel safe. I feel it's a really peaceful, serene place. And it's just an opportunity to heal.
When going to the garden, I feel anxious to get there and about going outside on my own. But with the support and encouragement from Rachel and the volunteers, I do start to relax quite quickly. And then when I got to know people, I looked forward to talking to them and to share experiences with them. It's nice to know you're not suffering alone.
When I am in the garden, I feel very relaxed and calm. I can take time to enjoy the surroundings with the greenhouse, pond, bridge, planting areas, paths, trees and shrubs.
I like being in the fresh air and out in the sun. I was lucky that it was quite sunny most days. I have a flat with no outdoor space, so it makes a big difference to be able to get out. So just feeling the sun on your skin is really nice.
What I really enjoy about being outside is being able to look up into the sky, see the birds, listen to them, look at the leaves and look at the shadows in the trees. It's just really beautiful.
I enjoy working in the groups as I can talk to other people and take my mind off of day-to-day worries and stresses. I can take the time to listen to the sounds and look at the results of achieving a given task. As such, I feel valued as a person by the staff's praise and support.
It's nice to talk to others and be around others, and I get to learn new things. And then I like telling people what I've learned, especially my granddad who has a garden himself. So during lockdown, it helped us have something in common to talk about, and it actually made him go out and get new things for his garden, and I went to the garden centre with him.
Being at Sydenham Gardens has helped my mental health as I suffer from high anxiety and depression and at times feel confused or isolated and have low self-esteem. By attending Sydenham Gardens, I don't feel isolated as much, and it's nice to talk to other people socially. It is very tranquil and restful at the gardens, with just the voices of those attending and the staff and volunteers. I suffer from long-term physical health conditions such as spinal degeneration and arthritis, and my movements become very limited and painful. My medical practitioners and consultants recommend recreational work like gardening. Therefore, it is very important to attend Sydenham Gardens and exercise my body.
The effect on my physical health has been to get me moving, get me doing things with other people and enjoying doing the physical work. And that's also helped me with my mental health in terms of gaining confidence, dealing with some of my own anxieties, and just being able to take things at a reasonable pace there with no pressure, no stress. And it's really, really brilliant.
I feel proud of myself for going and quite upbeat on my way home with a smile. Even though I can be in pain, I think at least I've done something to be in pain rather than just be at home and be in pain on my own.
I really enjoy my time there. And I enjoyed meeting the people there, and I just enjoyed being in the garden and the space. It's such a lovely place, and it's a little sad to go each time.
Hello all, just showing you today how to press flowers at home. This is a traditional flower press that is got these kind of wooden boards, and you take off the layers and there's cardboard inside, but you don't need one of those. I'm going to show you how to do it with stuff that most of you will have at home. Yeah, let me just show you a pressed flower first so you can see what it is we're going to be attempting to make today. So this is a pressed buttercup. This is something buttercups I found out on my walk. So it's flat as a pancake. So this has been pressed for about 3 or 4 days using the method I'm going to show you. So these can then be used in cards, to decorate things, in all sorts of different art pieces. So all you need is a chunky book. I'm using a cookery book. You need to go on a walk and find some gorgeous foraged bits and pieces. I've got cow parsley here, I've got buttercups, I've got some blossom of something, I don't know what it is called. Then I think this is campion, which is, I think, a weed. You might have seen these tiny little purple flowers out and about on your walks. I've seen a lot of them. I really like the shape of the leaves with this one. And I've got some other random leaves that I grabbed on my walk. So you need some foraged leaves and flowers, a heavy chunky book, some kitchen roll. You can also, if you don't have kitchen roll, you can use loo paper, which obviously is a bit of a precious commodity, but you can use that if you don't have kitchen roll. And an optional extra is I've got some brown paper that I've just had from an online order, so I'm going to be using some of that up today. And what we'll be doing is layering paper, sandwiches of paper and leaves and flowers to press, and they will stay there for a good few days. So first thing you need to do is prepare your flowers and leaves. Now I've already cut some of these. Sometimes they have sort of dust and leaves and stuff in, so you might just want to dry them off or dust them off. And I'm going to experiment by attempting to do some cow parsley. I think it's probably too delicate because the flowers are so tiny, can't see. But what I do know works very well are the buttercups, which I showed you. So just going to get them out of my vase. And there are different ways you can do this. You can either just cut it at the stem and keep the stem, or you can also cut the stem off and just literally have the flower head and press the flower head. Now, I know those work well. I know that the leaves should work well, but these two are going to be in my experiment. So I always like to experiment with some things that I don't necessarily know if they're going to work or not. So I've got these buds. Often when things are a bit big, they don't dry off so well. They're sort of a bit chunky. I'll try it. And the cow parsley is very delicate. So one thing I experimented the first time is trying it with the purple flowers of this. But I'll give that a go as well. All right, so I've got my bits ready. Oh, there's loads of dandelion bits on there, so I'll just pull those away. Then smooth those to one side. Get your book ready. Don't open right at the beginning. Give it a good few pages. And now I'm just going to alternate with brown paper, at least 2 layers. So if you don't have brown paper, you could just have 2 layers of the tissue paper or 2 layers of kitchen roll. And then now it's a matter of laying them face down on your kitchen roll. There we go. Super delicate. Sometimes I press with a fold in the leaves or fold in the flower, but often that can come out, you know, it still looks really lovely once they've dried. So I'm making sure that there are no overlaps. So sometimes it takes a bit of rearranging just to make sure that the leaves and the stalks aren't on top of each other. See if I can fit these in. And I just want to make sure that I'm not going over the edge of the book, so that was a bit close there. So there we go, because it needs to be pressed nicely. That's about enough, I reckon. So once you've got your first layer down, you want to just put another sandwich of kitchen roll, and then final layer of, I've got my brown paper, but it might be something else that you've got. And I've got my hand just holding it all steady and close. And that's as simple as that. You then can leave this. You can do a couple more if you want, and a few more pages along. So I tend to do max 3 per book, but and then you just layer up. I've got some very heavy books here. And just leave it for a few days with the weight pressing on top of these. If you don't have books, you could put something else that's heavy. I've actually got hand weight here, like a dumbbell, and I've had mine, a dumbbell sat on top of mine for a couple of days. And that seemed to work quite well. So give it a go. Just a reminder, these are actually some that I haven't looked at yet. So these are some I did about 3 or 4 days ago. So it's very exciting to have a look at what has worked and what hasn't worked. So this is the Campion. Oh, it has worked. See how flat it is? Super delicate, super thin. I'm going to leave those for another few days, because actually I think what they need is about a week. At least a week, even a couple of weeks is good. I've got 3 loads in here. And that's it. Have a go. I'd love to see what you make. Good luck. Bye.
Here at Sydenham Garden we run a series of programmes for people living with and suffering from mental ill health. On this site, on our Dufferin site, we do horticultural therapy where people come and grow crops. We mainly do cut flowers, which we sell to local florists.
Tell me a typical day here.
So a typical day here, we're lucky enough to have a fantastic team of volunteers. So we'll have a session leader, and then we'll have a couple of volunteers to help with our co-workers, just make sure that they're all engaged and that they know what they're doing and that they're doing it safely. We're quite pleased with this polytunnel. We've made it as accessible to as many different people as possible. So we've done different height beds, which means that if people have mobility issues so they can't bend that far, then you've got the slightly higher beds, and then we've got the very low beds, which are good for the children. So in this polytunnel we're growing heritage variety tomatoes, as well as really interesting types of chilies, and they've all done really well this year because of all the sun. We've been doing quite a lot of work to engage local schools. We do an outdoor education, teach them about gardening, we teach them about animals. We also just give them a space to kind of appreciate wild and appreciate nature. We let them run a little bit wild because these are kind of inner city kids. They don't get as much exposure to the countryside. The social enterprise element of this site is producing something to sell, doing it locally, doing it ethically and sustainably and kind of kindly. We've always had a social enterprise remit, but I think we're really pushing forward with it now. So we've got the cut flower business. We've always sold produce, like things like we sell the honey from the bees and we sell chutneys. We do events and we do training and we do kind of workshops for local people.
Sounds excellent.
It is.
How are you all doing?
Too bad, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, doing well, thanks, Bobby.
that's good. And Marcia, how are you keeping?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine.
That's great. So what we'll do is we'll go straight into our meditation. What we're going to do is get yourself comfortable. If you're sitting, just put your feet on the floor, just to ground ourselves. Let's make sure we're grounded. And everybody can hear me clearly, yeah?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So when you're ready, we're just going to close our eyes. Just follow your breath. Just breathe normally. Just watch your breath. Take some breath normally. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our hands for this meditation. And we're going to, you can just put your hands straight in front of you or even on your lap. And what we're going to do is we're going to close our hands and just imagine a flower which is closing up. Just imagine a flower which is opening. And we're just going to follow this with our breath, this movement with our breath. So when I ask you to breathe in, we're going to close the flower. And when we're going to breathe out, we're going to open the flower. So we're going to make a start in a bit. Take one big breath, let it go, and let's go. So we're going to breathe in, closing the flower very slowly, and then breathe out, opening the flower very slowly. Breathe in, closing the flower. And breathe out, opening the flower. Breathe in, closing the flower. And breathe out, opening. Breathe in, closing. And breathe out, opening. I'm going to do one last one. Breathe in, closing. And breathe out, opening. Let all the breath come out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And come back. So we just go around. How did you all find that? We'll start with you, Ken. How did you find that?
It's okay, because I have to concentrate in opening my hands and closing it as I'm breathing, which was a bit weird. But after a few times, it became nice and relaxing. So, yeah.
So the whole idea is to get our imagination, our breath, and physically get ourselves involved. And by doing that, we're disconnecting from everything around us.
Yeah.
So and like you say, once you get into a rhythm, then it's good. At first, it's just getting everything into the rhythm. That's true. How about you, Alan? How did you find that?
I found it was very good. I was very anxious and sort of tense before coming on to the Zoom session, and very relaxed at the end. I found it, like Ken, hard at the beginning to synchronise the breathing with opening and closing of the hands, but then towards midway I found it was getting easier and I was being more and more relaxed.
Oh, that's really good. That's really interesting to hear, because what the evidence shows is that just doing this breathing exercise, it lowers our cortisol. So if we are anxious, our cortisol levels are very high, and so this just lowers it down. That's really good to hear. Sounds like you experienced it as well. That's really good. Thank you, Alan. How about you, Sharon?
Yeah, I found it very good. I felt some tingling in my hands and my arms, which I feel a bit cold at the moment, so that's probably why. But yeah, it was very good and relaxing.
Good, that's good, Sharon. And Marcia, how did you find that?
Well, beginning was a bit difficult to synchronize with you all because your breathing patterns is lower than mine, slower than mine. So yeah. I found myself, when you were on breathing out, closing thing, I was doing the other, but then towards the end I did catch up, or did manage to get synchronized. But I did notice that my ringing in my ears, I was able to tune that out somewhat. Yeah, I don't know if it was meant to do that, but it is really a nuisance. So, and I've got the kitchen fan on as well, which I wasn't aware of. But when I come out of it, I realised that I could hear this come back, and I could hear that. So,
okay, so you were connected in some sort.
yeah, I was connected, but it was just because I anything to get rid of this tinnitus. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, and we only did it for a very little short time.
Yeah.
But when you do it for a long time, if you do practice it, you'll find that it does pull you back in, and you get more of a rhythm, and you follow your own breath. At the moment, we're doing it as a group, but you do it for yourself to follow your own breath. But thank you all for participating. It was great.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this video, and for more mental health resources please visit mind.org.uk, and please have a look at the other videos being posted this week for World Mental Health Day.
I feel proud of myself for going and quite upbeat on my way home with a smile. Even though I can be in pain, I think at least I've done something to be in pain rather than just be at home and be in pain on my own.